Listen to me very carefully, because I'm only going to say this once. Coffee. Black.
Coffee. Black. While I've got your attention, there are...
Coffee first. Well, this mentor would like another cup of coffee. I'm just gonna have to give up coffee. Want some coffee?
If I'm not mistaken, that's your third cup this morning.
Fourth, and on a day like today, it won't be my last. Coffee. The finest organic suspension ever devised. Commander, set a new course. There's coffee in that nebula.
That's so funny. And then just this video and okay. Turn that down. Let's get things situated and get things started for the day. Is that even loud enough to be heard? Let's turn it up one little notch. Hello, whoever may be out there. My name is Bear. I barely watercolor. I'll get an intro one of these days. I'll figure something out. Today, I'm going to be all about coffee, at least as much as possible. When am I not? I know, haha. But for real this time. First up, my coffee cup for the day. It is one I got from work. Just a picture of a shop outside it. I won't go into detail because it's kind of doxing, but from a distance, it's a shop. Oh, geez, my chair got stuck. There we go. So yeah, today's going to be about coffee. I've got a couple ideas in mind. Some stolen slash borrowed from some YouTubers that we watch, but just the initial thought of it. And then some other ones that I thought of on my own. So I don't know. We'll see what we get to. I've got 3 ideas. 2 I'll probably do today, and if I feel like I have time and I get around to the third one, I'll do that one too. First up, though, let's kind of recap on what we did last time. Today is Monday, right? Yes. So Thursday, we did some rainbows, some rainbow stuff. Here, let me switch. We did this guy, just practicing with some of the colors. We were using that new. I'm never gonna get the name of it right. Dang it! Hang on. Kata something. Kuratake, yeah, I was way off. The Kuratake set, this one. This guy. The one that we did the swatch for the other day. We used it for 2 things. One, the little sample page. Let me put that up. And the painting that we did afterward. I did a little rainbow colorful world in a Star Trek style, in a way. In that I have my little Star Trek dude down here on the bottom, and he's got his little tricorder. You see like a little silhouette of a man. Take that joke if you want it. Yeah, a little silhouette of a man with the little tricorders, just like scanning the colorful area. And we just got some hills and a big crystalline structure and a big mushroom thing, and then the sky above it with some textures in it. And at first I was unsure about it, but as soon as I put it into this black frame, it made a pop, so I really like it. So I'll probably show it later once I know there's somebody here. Yeah, that's about all I got from what I did then. Man, every time I turn even remotely away from my mic, it sounds terrible. So I'm going to try my damnedest to keep it close, no matter how ugly it is and how in the way it might be, including in the camera's way. I have to be able to talk to you and not sound like I'm a million miles away when I go like a foot away from a mic or turn away from it. I may end up going to omnidirectional mic. I don't know. For now, I've got it in like a stereo mode. Maybe I'll do, hang on. Because the stereo is nice because I can do this and get over in your right ear, and then I can go to the left ear like this. And nothing else does that. So it sounds cool, but it's not great. I'm not singing for you or anything. So let me turn it around. Let's pick on, oh, there we go. That might work. That's omnidirectional, but it sounds kind of hollow. God, it's so hard to turn the knob on this thing. There we go. Okay, so that is the normal condenser mode, and that gives me more range of motion, but I still have to be somewhat in front of the mic for it to work. So it's okay like this. I'll probably keep it here. Sound problems. Sometimes of my own making. All right, so it's there. It's working. It's not too terribly in the view or in the way, so I'll run with it. Let's put this up over here for now. I'll reach for it in a minute when I need it, if I need it. And this guy can go in front of it. And let's grab the first thing that we were going to look at today. Told you we're doing coffee. So this is just what it looks like. It is dry. I'm just feeling it to make sure. I actually hadn't felt it yet because I did it earlier today. I intentionally spilled coffee on one sheet of watercolor paper. I have to figure out something to do with this, but there's a couple of possibilities. Well, I'm sure there's a ton of possibilities, but this is for me. What to do with this, right? So the people that I was talking about earlier that we got the idea from, or I got the idea from, was a YouTube channel called Spilled Ink. They, that music is still loud. Turn it down. They, on one of their last videos, they had done like a spilled coffee challenge, which is apparently some sort of art challenge thing, where someone accidentally spilled coffee on their paper of something that they had sketched, and then they just kind of let it dry and leaned into it and continued to work on it. Their version was they did a drawing that they penned, and then it was a drawing that they penciled onto it, and then they spilled coffee on it, let it dry overnight, and then when they came back to it, they grabbed a pen and they outlined all of the coffee area and then painted their drawing that they did, but only inside the bounds of where the coffee was, and everything else stayed white. So like they spilled the coffee and then painted or markered on top of it. It was really interesting. They left some of the coffee showing through, some of it not. But I figured with watercolor, it would show through really well because watercolor is transparent, right? But what I did not do is sketch something underneath this because I'm not great at sketching anything, especially not without something that I can trace, because everything will be out of shape and wonky. I figured abstract is the way to go because that's just easier for me. So I'm thinking I'm going to do something more abstract with this. And yes, I will say it absolutely smells like coffee. It's just interesting that the paper smells like coffee. I have no idea how long that will last, but boy, it sure does smell like coffee. So yeah, I'm going to figure out something to do on top of this. I don't fully know what yet, so I'm going to just kind of come up with it as I go. I put the coffee on this like 10 this morning, and it wasn't fully dry by 3. So it took most of the day to dry. More than anything, there was a little puddle left right here in the center. Not this whole lighter colored outline, just a tiny bit in the middle. So it was almost done. So I just used the heat gun and finished it off and let it dry completely. And that made it where I can use it. Downsides, I put a liquid on watercolor paper that wasn't taped down. So I don't know if you can tell, but it got kind of wavy. It's not perfectly flat because it was partially wet down. So I can do one of two things, I guess. I can tape it down, which is an option. Or I can just freehand and just don't don't do a wash over the whole thing because that would make the whole thing curl up. I can just paint in certain areas, which might be what I'll do. So thoughts. What am I going to do on this? Well, the outlines that are already here are pretty nice, but it is going to be watercolor on top of this. So there's a very good chance that I'm going to cover up some of this. Even though watercolor is transparent, there's a potential that I'm going to just reactivate the copy that's on here with the water and just make it blend with the watercolor. And that's fine. I guess the question is, one, do I want to do a black outline? If so, it's going to take a while to do because there's a lot, and I do mean a lot on here to outline. It'll take like 30 to 40 minutes, I think, just to outline this, only to cover it with ink or, well, watercolor. Or I just paint on it and just go for it and let the cards fall where they will, right? That will allow me to get to the next step of the next process a little quicker. So we'll see. I think I may do the outline and just be quick about it. And during the outlining, I will figure out what I want to do with it. Because I will say the one thing that this does remind me of is a tree stump. I don't think I'm going to be able to paint a tree stump into this because tree stumps are just tons of, concentric rings. But the one ring in the middle looks very much like a knot or, just the image of what wood looks like, or a piece of wood when you cut it, right? So maybe something with that, maybe not. I say let's outline it and go from there. So I'm going to grab a medium black pen, the Winsor Newton 0.5 in size. He snacks more coffee, and then I'm going to get to just going around this. I'll go around the biggest parts first, and then afterward I may go around and circle all the individual splashes too, just so that they stand out, and then we'll figure out how we're going to paint on it. So let me snack some coffee really quick, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do after this once I get there. I'll give you a hint. It deals with coffee. Actual coffee. All right, let's get started. I'm going to start on the top left and then start working my way around. So let me arrange myself in a way that won't cause myself more harm. Sorry, my headphone cable will be here just so that I have some slack and don't accidentally unplug it. Okay. Let's get cracking. All right. I guess I'll start here. I realize I'm going to have to hit it from both directions because it's going to be very hard to be able to see where the pen is covering up. But most of it will be fine. Most of it already has a decently dark outline just from the coffee itself. This is just to accentuate it and to make sure that when some watercolor gets on it, it's not going to wash this away. Even if the coffee thins, the outline will remain. And I'm trying to be precious with it. I really shouldn't because I'll run out of time just outlining. So let me try to work on this some more. Clearly it's not going to be perfect, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be. When I put the coffee on here earlier, I let it cool and get all over the paper, and then I slapped it a couple times in a couple areas with my hand. So that's what made all of the little splatter marks on it. And the video I watched did similar thing. And I thought the little splashes looked neat. All right. So options. Doing like a cutaway of a tree stump is one possibility. Like it already looks like one. So a top-down tree stump, maybe like a petrified wood tree stump or something. So that's one option. Aside from that, just abstract. That's what my original thought was just random colors, you know? Just maybe doing like a color splash kind of thing. Go through and pick some colors that would go with the brown color of the coffee, and then just drop it and splash it a little bit and do the same kind of effect that the coffee did, but with the watercolor pigment. So that was one option. Another option is doing something truly like designed, like actually paint an object of some kind around, you know, all of this. I know I'm drawing in the little Chad part on the top. It'll probably end up being cut off, but for now I'm keeping it because you never know. So yeah, I don't know. I'll play with the ideas when I get closer to finishing outlining this. Then I'll try to figure out more what I'm going to do with it. The tree stump idea is interesting, but how am I going to add like concentric circles in a way that doesn't look stupid and take away from what's already here? Maybe like gently somehow doing the rings. I don't know how it would work though. If I were to do rings, it would probably need to be, I don't know. It would have been better to do it to begin with the coffee and just like put it on, let it dry a little, do like a quick blast with a heat gun and then walk away and then another quick blast and maybe just keep drying slightly, you know, in waves so that it makes its own rings. I don't know how that would have come out. That could go there, and that can go there. I mean, you know me by now. I'm abstract guy. I prefer doing the abstract stuff when I can help it. So that might end up being just all I do is figuring out something abstract to do. I already thought, hey, run with the color splash of adding additional colors to it and doing the same thing the coffee did and just adding to that. But in obviously smaller amounts because I don't want to take away from the coffeeness of this. So we'll see. And thankfully I have time today because I'm no longer on call. Woohoo! Our on-calls are only for a week rotation. And then it goes to the next person, and there's a few of us in mine, so I get a short reprieve. And then maybe like a month and a half or two or whatever from now, I'll be back on. You know, I know something. When I saw the Spilled Ink folks doing this, and figuring out what they were going to do with it, they did a drawing, put the coffee down, let it dry overnight, came back and did the outline part like I'm doing now. I don't have the drawing, but I've got the coffee and the outline part. The one thing that struck me from theirs that was really cool was once they started putting the outline down on the coffee, it started looking a lot like land. Like, you know, a map, like the outline of like a country or something or a continent. And I think as I do this, it's going to look much the same here. It's going to end up looking a lot like land. So that's a possible direction to go as well. Maybe I use this and I create a map and the brown will be the land portion, or at least the brown to land portion. And maybe I add some greens to this to kind of push that land feeling a little bit more and make it look like a satellite imagery kind of deal. That would be interesting. Okay. Actually kind of fun outlining it. I don't know how well you can see it. You can see it pretty well. If I need to in a bit, I can zoom in, but for now, it's kind of not bad. Well, I guess I can do that and see how it looks. Yeah, that's a little closer. You can see that. Yeah, I'll do that. Let me pick a spot on the right side here and start going around. Try to finish more of the right side of this. I realize the more I talk, the slower I get. Yeah, I like the idea of doing land because it's got the best of both worlds for me. It makes it look like something that should be, because it looks like land already. This will just cement that. And it lets me be a little bit more on the abstract side because land is organic. So it doesn't have to follow any special flow, you know? I mean, clearly there's rules, but the rules are super flexible because organic things can do almost anything, almost to a degree. Some stuff is inflexible, but it's the beauty of living things and tectonic plates and all these things. They move, they change, they go in the flow of whatever, you know, wherever they're being taken. So I think this will be much the same. Okay. Start going around this side, and then I'll hit the middle up here and hit all the little outer bits, and then I'm probably going to turn this so that it'll still be centered in your view, and then I'll hit it from a different angle. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I really like the idea of outlining these little outer bits because it makes them look kind of like islands. The splash zone. I realize there's a lot to do here, and I may not talk through all of it unless somebody comes in and I read and chit chat with you. So if it starts getting boring, forgive me. If anything, I'll crank up the music and just not talk for a little bit, but I'll hang out for as long as I can. Okay. Okay. Let's move this up a little bit. And yeah, let me go ahead and hit the middle part of this. It's a bunch of random stuff, so it needs it. Okay, next little bit. it's very easy to get lost in this and just stop talking because it's almost hypnotizing tracing this. Okay. And okay. Excuse me. I okay. All right, getting there. Now let's get this up a little bit. And telling you, it gets so focused. It's easy to forget that I should be talking. But it's okay. It's not like I'm entertaining the masses here or anything. Go around. Yes. And there's another one. And then another one. Okay. Did I get the whole thing? Right there? I did. Alright. Well, let's rotate. Rotate. We'll hit this area up here. There's a lot of random splash zone here I need to outline. I'm not going to do any of them that are like lines. Just anything that looks more island blobby. Some of the littlest ones I'm going to leave alone, but just for flavor text, I'll do some of them. All right. Come on. Okay. All right, let's move along this way. Hey. Okay. Okay, let's turn some more. And snack some coffee. Okay. Well, halfway done. Maybe a little more. Okay. I may change the music. We'll see. For now, it is a coffee lo-fi vibe thing, because obviously today's theme is coffee. But downside is it's sleepy. Cozy equates to sleepy sometimes, especially in this kind of music. So if I need to change it to something a little more active, we'll see. It's also really low. I can turn it up if I need to, but for now it's just like in the background while I fiddle about. And I can hear it clearly, but I can never tell because the little waveform thing is like kind of weak by comparison. So I have no idea how much you're actually hearing of the music, how quiet it is, how loud it is. I believe it's fine. It looks like it's fine on the inputs in Meld Studio, my streaming app, but who knows? You. Yeah, this way. This way. No. Whoa. Okay. This one's gonna be like a long little island. Not island, peninsula. That's the word I was looking for. But very narrow peninsula. Okay. Here you are. You little island, you silly thing, you over there. Let's go around this way. Love how I'm off work and I get messages to me. It's like, you know my hours, or if you don't know my hours, they're posted and you could read them, but I still get things that are not critical that could wait till the next day. And I guess people just want to get them off their chest and say them and then hope that I'll remember to come back to them. But if you want me to remember to communicate with you, you should probably communicate with me when I'm working if you want to ever get answers. Because giving me a future to-do list of coming back to you later it's a thing. You can do it. It's a choice. Kind of a disrespectful one. And all about you one, but whatever. If it's not all about you, it's all about me, so... That sounds just as bad, I guess. Maybe I'll shut up. I don't know. Someday, blessed retirement will take me. Retirement, not death. I mean, that'll happen too someday, but hopefully a long time from now. And let's get these little two dads. Excuse me. And let's rotate again. Okay. Well, yeah, takes care of that. It's just what I thought was going to happen. That's okay. I voiced my concern for a thing at work. It got superseded. But it's okay, because, you know, I wasn't trying to be contrary or anything. I was trying to be the voice of someone who wouldn't be able to speak for themselves, in the plural. And the decision was made to go ahead and do the thing anyway. And that's fine. I don't really want to talk about it too much because I really shouldn't be talking about work stuff, but, you know. It's not like it's classified top secret NDA crap, so. But at the same time, I don't want to sit here and, like, you know, say something stupid or incriminating, so I'm going to just shut up and be like, alright, things happened. Even a simple, I understand why you said what you said, and I agree with you, however, comma, or however, semicolon, whatever. It's alright. The point is, the things that needs to be said were said, and if something does happen someday, and I can be the voice of I told you so, but people don't like I told you so people, so I'm not gonna not say that. I'm just gonna say it here and then never say it again. Wow. Okay, is this guy? I still have to go all the way around all that, but I mean, most of it's done, so it's still, wow, it's actually looking really nice, outlined. Where am I at? Here, okay. Did I do that part? No, that's just left over from the coffee, okay. And then this long, very straight peninsula, it's from a splash, it just kind of shot straight out like that, so that's fine. Oh wow. Just remembered well, I say I just remembered something and then I fail to remember it, but thinking of this old show that had Bill Cosby on it, I think, where the marker, he would draw on the screen, and the marker would like make it like a little like the random noises as he was drawing. I can't remember the name of it, but you know, that was a thing. Ironically, I think I remember it being brought up on Game Grumps of all things, so. Did I miss a piece? Oh, I did. This one right here. This one weirdly looks like a legless bunny rabbit. With his ear just like flying back behind it. And the sky. And this little faint outline, we'll do this one too, just because it's a big blobby one. Yeah, this other guy over here. Yeah, and then some of these outliers. Okay. I know something I do want to paint at some point that I have to work myself up to the idea from a book, obviously, or book series. I want to do something from the Pierce Anthony Xanth series, but what? I'm not normally great with like organic things or anything that has to be like a real life recreation. I far more attuned to the weird, random, abstract BS. That said, the Xanth stories are pretty fun. They are basically a story of a magical land that takes place in the landmass is, whoops, well, that was a mistake. I'll just darken that in. The landmass is like a peninsula, and it, to keep it safe, or just because of the way the magic land works, it connects to like Earthian, like actual Earth locations, but it like supersedes or it overlaps over the top of existing peninsulas. And the one that is currently in the shape of is Florida, at least for the length of the game of the books. And but over time, apparently, it's connected to different peninsulas like Korea, and I don't have the name of a million peninsulas in my head, but over the course of time and over the course of place, the boundary of Xanth, where it connects to what they call Mundania, is because we're mundane people with no magic, right? So we're called mundanes, us magicless folk, and Earth lands are called Mundania. It connects to Mundania in a variety of places, a variety of times, depending on where you cross the boundary between the two. From the Xanth side, people from the mundane side, they cross accidentally more often than not, unless they know their way there. So people accidentally slip in, and if they were to try to leave, they leave into random places and times, assuming they don't leave exactly the way they came in, right? Anywho, total side tangent. The idea of it is that it's a magical land. All of the human, or mostly human creatures in this land have magic, and what they call their magic in this land is a talent. So everybody gets a talent, everybody gets a unique talent, and talents never, ever repeat, which is a very big selling point in the story over time. Eventually they discover that they can repeat in a way, but I don't want to give that too much away. Mainly the shorthand version of why they can repeat is they can repeat based on technicality, I guess you can say. So that anyone who has a talent like the ability to levitate, for example, I'm probably picking a really bad example here, but I can levitate myself, and that's my talent. And then like 10 years down the road, or some years after I die, someone can get a similar talent, but instead of being able to levitate myself, I can levitate others. So it's still the talent of levitation, but it's different in some aspects, right? So that's how they're able to justify repeating talents. If it ever does happen, it has to be different in some very slight or huge way, right? Why nobody can have a repeating talent, I don't know. I think it's just a rule of the land to put rules on, the story, which is still pretty cool. Anywho, I like the idea of figuring out something Xanth related to that series. But almost everything in it's going to be organic. It's going to be man-made. It's going to be plant life, animal life, mystical animal life. It's going to be something special. And I don't know how to do most of those things. Some are going to be plants like trees and whatnot. Some are going to be castles, and I don't really know how to do that without doing a lot of prep work and tracing and sketching and the kind of stuff I have to do off stream to prepare, which, last thing I want is homework. It's supposed to be fun, not let's, work on the side piece for the stream for like 4 hours and then stream 2 hours just to slap some paint over what I did. So it's difficult to figure out how I'm going to make that work. I'm going to probably have to do very specific aspects of it instead of doing an entire scene. So I don't fully know what that will look like. I will figure that out when and if that time comes. That said, I still like the idea because it's a book series that I enjoy. I've actually been rereading it recently. I just updated my Kindle and put some new software on it so that I can play around with it more. And in the process, I was like, let's reread Xanth books. And I realized that I'm like 5 or 6 books behind and I have to find them somewhere or buy them. I'll do that when I get there. I'm rereading right now, so I have to kind of catch back up on the story. There's some main characters. There's some not main characters. Interestingly enough, almost every one of them, of the books for Xanth, has to do in some point with someone's quest to get an answer for something that they have a question for. Interestingly enough, almost all of the books, I don't know if there is one that doesn't, but almost all of the books for sure include this one character, the good magician Humphrey. Now, he is the magician of information, which brings us into a whole other tangent. In a land full of people that can do magic, why is at least one, called a magician? Well, it's because others are not magicians. Ta-da, you have your answer. The reality is, the reality of a make-believe book, the reality of it is that a majority of the people in the land of Xanth who have talents have what they call spot-on-the-wall talents. Literally, they could be as mundane and boring as being able to project a spot on the wall, and that's all they can do. Not magician caliber magic. They consider anyone with extremely potent, powerful, wow, that can do a crap ton of stuff, magic, as magicians. And everyone else, they're not bad people. They're not even treated differently. They're just not magicians. Most, not all, most, some of the stories of Xanth deal with people that end up having magician caliber talents. Not all of them, very much not all of them, but a good portion do, at least to start with, because they make the best stories, I guess, because their powers are amazing. All of the people who are magicians or of magician caliber, at least at first men only, are able to be a king in the land of Xanth. But they only allow, at first, males, and always only people of magician caliber talent, at least until later on. Then it becomes a measure of if there's no magicians remaining, then they go based on intelligence, and then people get appointed. So there can always be, a line of people who are in line to become king. That being said, back to good magician Humphrey. He is the magician of information. It's not explained until later how he gets his information. Some of it is explained, but the majority of it is not, at least at first. But his purpose is gathering info through any means, magical or non-magical. And ultimately, he has the answer to everything, or can find the answer to everything. And so people come to him to ask their stupid questions or their great questions all the time. But he got pretty much sick and tired of people coming for every mundane, stupid question that they had to ask that could be answered by almost anybody. So what he did is he put up challenges around his castle that changed depending on the querent, the person coming with a question, or querent, however you say it. So that means every time a new book comes out, something happens to the main character that you're being introduced to that makes them have to go on a quest, which always means they have to head off and talk to the good magician to ask their question, to which he will give an answer every time. Except he doesn't want people to get to him. So he makes these people go through a series of 3 challenges, always 3 challenges. Oh, I finished. 3 challenges in order to, let me close this. I want to do this more here. 3 challenges in order to get to him to be able to answer. And if you're willing to go through the work and the effort of going through the challenges he set before you, he's willing to answer your question. And the good majority of the time, he already knows why you're coming and what you're going to be asking, and that you're going to end up making it to him because he's already got everything prepared. But in addition to that, he also has almost always made these 3 challenges that you have to cross be related to your quest, though you don't necessarily realize it at first. And it was usually something to test, are you going to be able to handle the quest? Well, something in the challenges are going to relate to it sometimes. Ooh, I'm talking too much and I'm getting yawning. Ugh. Anyway. Yeah, so the challenges, he gives you 3 challenges. Usually it's some way of blocking you from getting into the castle. And then once you get in, you beat around the bush, and then you eventually ask a question. You put the camera back, and he gives you an answer. It doesn't always seem obvious up front what your answer is, and it may not always make sense, but it's always the correct answer. So, in all of that, that's just the beginning of each book. Obviously, it's not cookie cutter, but for the most part, that's how it relates, right? So that's one area that I've thought about painting is the Good Magician Humphrey's castle, which is hard because it's probably only ever put on the cover of like a couple of the books, and it changes because it's built to be like a reconfigurable castle based on the challenges that have to take place to get into it. You can't just fly in or go in the front door. You gotta get through past the moat. You gotta get through the gate. You gotta get through some hurdles of some kind, right? So that's one thing, that one castle. There's a couple other castles too, like where the king of Xanthus and some of the other magicians have castles and whatnot. There's not many of them. There's like 3 or 4 or something in the entire land. But there's tons of amazing like geography that's described and places that are revisited in the future. And there's a bunch of animals and were creatures, and there's centaurs, of course, and dragons, and just harpies and all kinds of creatures, right? And it'd be interesting to go through and eventually paint those, but I don't necessarily have the skill to draw them. So I have to work up the desire to trace and draw something to then paint. And so even though the desire is there, the capacity to do it is not necessarily there. So, no. Becomes a very tough question on if I want to do those or not. I'm more likely to want to do abstract stuff, or more desirous to do more desirous to do objects, something that's very definable, even if it's quirky. If I can identify like a list of objects or places, things that are easy for me to manage, I might do those. People, almost definitely not going to happen. There's no way I'm ever going to be able to paint people or figures or portraits. I mean, it would take years to learn how to do that. That's not my focus right now. I don't really have a desire to want to know how to do those things. How am I going to do this? You know, I don't often go to my fan brushes, but mainly it's because I don't know quite how to do good fan brush watercolor work. It never quite uses the fan properly and looks good, but I can try it if I keep it dry. Hi, welcome in. Artros, what a great name. Wow, you must have had that for a long time to have such a cool name. Kudos on that. Everyone's got stupid names like barely watercoloring. I say to denigrate my own name. No, that's great. That has to have been like a first or second year name creation. Great job. Welcome in. I am just meandering about. My name's Bear. I'm a watercolor artist. I claim the name artist. I've only been doing this like a year now, but I'm still working on it, and I'm always going to be still working on it. Today I'm doing a theme of coffee. clearly it's in the name. I'm doing a couple different things today. The first one I'm doing is this. Earlier in the day, I spilled a bunch of coffee intentionally on some watercolor paper, let it dry for some hours. And then before I started today, it was still just a little damp. So I dried it down thoroughly with my heat gun. And I just got finished going through and outlining it. So you can see just a pen outline on the whole thing. And then I'm going to figure out what to do with it outside this. Been watching for a bit. Oh, thank you. I appreciate you hanging out. I try my best to be on here twice a week. I'm usually here Mondays and Thursdays at 4 o'clock Pacific for a few hours. I just kind of go until I'm tired. But at least I try to keep a set schedule. I come in after work and then come in here and I just paint. I started watercolor painting last year, like I said, during a very stressful time at work, during a very stressful work project, because I was at the breaking point and I needed something to do to kind of keep my mind off of it and be happy about. And I totally by accident found this watercolor artist on YouTube called Jenna Rainey and started watching her videos and watching her paint, and I just kind of fell in love with it. I've never truly been like a huge artist in any way, but I decided, I like watercolor. I always wanted to get into something, and I thought this is easy and approachable and lets me make mistakes and it still look kind of good. So I thought, let's go for it. I started painting and just having fun. And yeah, I just kind of been going and going and just playing with it. If you want to see, I've been very, very religious about taking a picture of nearly everything I've ever painted, and I put it on my Instagram. So if you poke around, you're really, really bored or interested, feel free to check out my Instagram link, and you can see back to the start of when I started doing this, and everything's timestamped, so you can see truly I've been doing it for about a year. And you can just see my growth. You can see my absolute utter mistakes and then some of my rare successes. And I'm just trying to get better as I go. Hopefully people will come in sometimes who watercolor or are artists themselves, and they can give me some tips, some friendly tips, and I'll try to incorporate those and learn as I go. Maybe I'll be really good. If not, whatever. To be honest, I think the outline almost makes the coffee stain pop out of the paper. It does, doesn't it? I saw you weren't on earlier when I said this, because I said it right at the very beginning when nobody was on yet. We got the idea from a YouTube channel, Spilled Ink. They're two people, YouTubers out of Japan, Daitis and Emily, or Emerichu. And they are like boyfriend, girlfriend, and they came together to do this traditional media channel. They traditionally only do digital. They thought, hey, we're going to change it up and do some digital, some traditional media. And they just bounce around from traditional media to traditional media, markers, paint, crayons, watercolor, painting minifigs, you name it. Sometimes they have guests on, sometimes they don't. And their last video, or I think one came out today, second to last video, was much like this. Their method was a little different, and they weren't doing watercolors, but you can do pretty much anything. They called it like a coffee challenge that apparently was going around the interwebs for a couple of years or whatever, where someone did a drawing, spilled coffee on it by accident, and when it dried, they thought, let me just paint over it or work over it, and they incorporated the coffee stain into their work, right? What the Spilled Ink folks did, they did a similar thing. They did a drawing in pencil. They spilled their coffee on it. They let it dry completely overnight. They did a similar outline like I did here. The difference is, imagine that there was a drawing in the background here, and the coffee is not quite so thick and all over the place. They would go through and do the outline like I did here, and they would paint on the coffee section in part, and they would leave the remaining bits outside the range of where the coffee spilled, where their drawing still was, completely undone. They would do nothing on the part of the drawing that didn't get coffee on it. The coffee was meant to be the surface to do the work on, not something to avoid. Hey, Goddess, welcome in. Yay, coffee art. I love coffee art. I'd never done it before. I've seen it. I just watched a video from Spilled Ink, who I was just talking about a moment ago, where they did that last week, like on Sunday or Friday. Friday is usually when they post. So Friday's video from them on YouTube, they did something similar to this. I'm going to do slightly different from what they did. They painted entirely inside the lines on the coffee and overlapping where their drawing was. I'm going to do slightly different. I'm going to go through and I think I'm going to make this like a land. My first thought was, based on the ring in the middle and the ring on the outer part here, it looked a lot like a tree trunk. And if I was good at doing like the lines in any way, I could probably fake turning this into a tree trunk, but it would still only be a tree trunk. There's only so many colors in a tree trunk, and it wouldn't really pop in any way, right? And I have to learn how to do like all those, concentric circles to make the tree trunk rings work. And I didn't feel like it, even though it looks like wood. But the other thing it looks like, especially with the outline, is land. When I was watching the Spilled Ink folks do theirs, when they started lining it, I thought, wow, it looks like a continent, but it just needs some greenage, right? So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to do with this, is add some green on top of the brown where it's lighter and get like a nice little combination of some greenage, of a couple of tones, and then leave the brown bits, the darkest ones, as they are. They can be desert, they can be mountain, they can be whatever we want them to be. And then I will either leave the white space white or add some blue in there. But gently, not like even touching the land, because I don't want to accidentally overlap an off color like blue on top of this. But yeah, I'm thinking we're going land with this. So the only other option that I was considering is doing just like I did with the coffee, but with paint, and just flick a couple really wet colors in spots. And then, as much as I hate to get dirty, just like I did with the coffee earlier, I splattered it with my hand to make the spots go flying outward. I might do that with paint, or that was my thought. I might have done that with paint. But that's messy. It's abstract as hell, but it's messy. And I don't know how I feel like doing that. And then I would get paint everywhere. I already got coffee everywhere earlier. I had to clean it up. So yeah, I think I'm going with the continent approach. So I think I'm going to do that. Let me go ahead and wet down my palette and get that ready. And then if I have time when I'm done with this, I have something else planned. If I have time. I actually had 3 things planned that I just, this part took an hour just outlining this. So I'm glad some of you guys were late getting in because it was boring, just me outlining. Yeah, so after this, my next bit that I was going to do, I have sitting over on the side over here. I'm keeping with the coffee theme. If I get to it, I'm going to try to. I'm going to try painting with coffee, not just painting over the top of a coffee spill, painting with coffee, instant coffee to be more accurate. And if I get to that, my goal was going to be, since I love doing space things and I like doing nebulas, why not do a coffee nebula? Hence the name of the title of the stream today, There's Coffee in That Nebula, which itself is stolen from a line from Star Trek Voyager. Again, look at my theme. I'm very much a Trekkie. Janeway, in one of their videos, or one of their episodes where they're running out of energy, and she can't even get enough energy, or they're not allowed to use the replicators to be able to make food, and they have to use rations. She's like fiending for coffee, which sounds weird, but she is. And they come up to a nebula and they're like, we can harvest stuff from that to make energy to recharge our ship so we can use all the replicators. And she's like, there's coffee in that nebula, before the title sequence happens. Anywho, that's what made me think of doing this, because I'm doing coffee, I love space, I'm rambling. Let's do it, hustle through this, and then see if we got time. We'll switch to the coffee nebula and we'll make that work. Okay, so I think I am going to start, actually, let me start with a larger round brush. What size is this one? This is 16? Yep, this is a 16 Princeton Heritage round brush. Let me scoot some of the stuff over so that you can see it. This can go here. This can go here. Janeway started out drinking hot vegetable broth, but then they wanted her to be more tough or badass or something, and they switched her drink to coffee black. No kidding. I always thought they just ran with it because they wanted her to be like the counterpoint to Picard's Earl Grey tea hot. Regardless, I love it because she is badass. I don't remember what her name was, but you remember that lady that was supposed to be Janeway before they got Kate Mulgrew on? And then she I don't know what the deal was, but she stressed out and didn't want to do the work, so she just left and didn't do it. Fool decision on her part, but I'm glad she did because Kate Mulgrew absolutely slays being the captain of Voyager. What a great job. So many people just berate her and are just nasty about her being a female captain, but she is so badass, right? She's absolutely legendary. The only time she ever is not in any way where people have some sort of attitude about it is the whole Tuvix thing, which is a whole topic of its own. Anyone who's a Trekkie and knows the whole situation with Tuvix, I just rewatched that episode the other day too, and I'm like, I get it. I get their point of view, and I don't get it at the same time. It's a battle that so many people want to be on both sides of, and I don't care to join that battle because it hurts friendships. I've literally lost a friend because of it. So I just hate going into it. It's so ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. I think for greenage, I'm going to start with a really good vegetation color. I'm going to go with green gold. So let me wet that down and get myself a little puddle of green gold that I can start with. And I'm starting with my largest round brush so I can do big areas first. Let me wet that down a little. So where are we going to put our greenage? Okay, so sometimes near the shore, sometimes not. This area looks like a mountain range, so I think I'm going to leave it alone. But maybe on the inside of it, I'll add some greenage. Very faintly. I don't want it to go too heavily green just yet. Okay. I'm not going fully to the edge on all of them because I want to keep a little gradient going. Okay, and let's wet this section in the middle down. And then down in here. A little more. Okay, I'm gonna grab some water and grab a little bit more of it. And let's pick on maybe this area over here. We'll do a similar thing. Not gonna lie, it's kind of nice painting on something that's already got some color to it. This beigeish coffee brown color actually is working out nicely because it's hiding the crimes of the edges of where the paint is going down at. I kind of like that. You don't know what the battle is? Oh, about Tuvix? Oh, Lord. Let me give you the extreme shorthand version of it. And whenever I say I'm going to break something down into something smaller, bite-sized chunks to digest, let me tell you I never do. Okay, so Tuvix. Obviously, the name evokes, if you know anything about the Voyager show, and you know any of the characters, Tuvix is a combination of two character names. Another trope in Star Trek that is something that happens a lot is transporter accidents. Well, they say it happens a lot. It really doesn't, but it's happened a couple times. All that to say, they have a transporter accident where Tuvok, the Vulcan, and Neelix, their chef, ambassador, jack of all trades, combine into one creature, Tuvix, right? So that's what he calls himself. Anywho, you might see where it's going. It's a TV show, right? People fall in love with the characters. And so any decision that's going to happen regarding those characters is going to be in preservation of the character, not in preservation of the plot line of the episode, right? So that's exactly what happens in the end. you get to a point where it's an accident that happened. The doctor doesn't know how to fix it at first, but he's like, I swear I'll never rest until I find a solution to this. And he's a hologram, so he's just going to keep on going, trying to fix it, right? So they get to a point where they're like, okay, well, we don't know when that's going to be, so let's just go ahead and let it just run for now. Go ahead, and he starts integrating himself with the crew. He starts making friends. You know, he gets to a point where people start liking him. They start kind of realizing this is how it's going to be now. And then right as everybody gets comfortable with it and we start to make peace with it, the doctor is able to come up with a solution to bring back Tuvok and Neelix. Just in time for you to fall in love with the character of Tuvix. He's got the best of both worlds. He's got the Vulcan logic, but at the same time, he's got, you know, the emotional range of Neelix without his crazy, wacky stupidity that he has sometimes. So people fall in love with him. And then Janeway is like, well, shit, we have to make a decision on if we're going to bring Tuvok and Neelix back. And quite frankly, Tuvok was my best friend on this voyage. I want him back. So Kes, the girlfriend at the time of Neelix, is like, I can't live without him. Okay, so now you've got two voices that are like, I need to bring back Tuvok and Neelix, because we each have someone that's out there trying to get them back because they love them and miss them. But everybody else is falling in love with Tuvix because he's turning into this really cool guy, but they still miss Tuvok and Neelix. They've been part of that, you know, ship, that family for a while now, right? So, of course, it gets to the point where Janeway, being the captain, she has to make that grand decision. Is she going to bring back Tuvok and Neelix? And she decides to do so. And Tuvix is like, you know, that's not fair, you know, why are you doing this to me? And he does like a big grandstand like speech on the bridge, and then finally he gives up and he lets them take him away. And they end up ultimately going through with it, and he's like, you know, I forgive you for doing this to me. You know, I don't agree with it, but I forgive you for doing this, for killing me, in effect, right? And so at the end, Tuvix is split back into Tuvok and Neelix, and Tuvix is gone. So it's very brilliant. Exactly, it's brilliant. It's brilliant writing. It was done incredibly well. It was very thoughtful, and it was built to evoke that response. It's built to make you care for Tuvix and have a feeling towards Janeway. People took it, and they pushed that shit to the pedal to the metal on how much some people started hating Janeway from that point. Because, more than anything, Tuvix basically was a creature by accident, but once it was made, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle, in effect, right? And people think once someone is a creature, once someone is a person, nobody has the right to make them go away or become what they used to be. And it became like a trans rights symbol for some people. And so because of them wanting to equate it with that, they are staunch opponents to that whole episode and really hate Janeway and think that she is somehow anti-trans, which is really, really reaching. If we don't look at that right there and we just talk about the fact that my opinion on it, and I know it's stupid to take an opinion, I said I wasn't going to, but fuck it, I'm going to anyway. My opinion is that Janeway did the right thing. Now, let me tell you why, and it's very simple, very sweet, to the point. They're out in the middle of absolutely nowhere, right? And they don't have a Federation to chit-chat with to make the decision for them. Janeway had to make the decision. And the two people that weren't there weren't able to have a voice, right? They weren't able to speak on their own behalf. Instead, Tuvix was, and he was on his own side. That said, they needed the resources of what these two individuals were capable of doing separately. And by turning them into one person, half the work gets undone, right? So that reason alone, that they needed to have people back at the original post. 2, it's a television show, so it needs to go back to the original way things were as much as possible before the episode started. These episodic shows are creature of the week, sci-fi, crazy, convoluted technobabble of the week. It's not meant to keep things as they were when a thing occurs on the show. It's meant to bounce back at the end and say everything's fine. The next episode starts, you had no idea the last episode even occurred, right? None of the history really carries over. That's the way it's designed. So she had to make the best possible decision in a difficult situation on behalf of the officers that didn't have a voice anymore. And people don't seem to see that, or they just glance over that and they just don't care. All they see is, she's evil because she doesn't care about the person that was there. She's a murderer. Get over it. It's a TV show. It's fine. Everything's going to be all right. And it's just a great big stupid argument that just doesn't need to exist. And I'm rambling so much, I'm not paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm just kind of mindlessly doing it, and I'm getting puddles. So I need to smooth this out a little bit and try to break some of these hard edges. Yeah. Okay. So where some of those edges are, I think I may go for a brown. I've already got some dragon's blood. Let me see. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of hit it right here, and then let that bleed in there a little bit, and maybe over here. No, here. I don't want to go too far with that. Oh, the Lon Sitter story arc was my absolute fave story arc of the Treks. He was the beta-zoid serial killer with a conscience. Yeah, no, that was absolute great. And I'm glad that they brought him back. One for the one episode, one for the follow-up, I think. Where they had to get the ship back from the Kazon, I think. Right? They marooned them on the surface of the planet, and Lon Sitter was still on the ship with the doctor, and then Paris got on the ship and they took the ship back, I think. But I think Lon Sitter got killed in that one. But yeah, absolutely great. I love the whole Tuvok did a mind meld with him and tried to give him some peace, but in the process took some of the murderous intent from him. It's totally weird. Yeah, he ended up being a good guy. Murderous, but a good guy. So weird to consider, a murderer in Star Trek. Well, at first, ew. Banhammer. Smack. All right. Yeah. I mean, I say there's hardly murderers on Star Trek. Deep Space Nine is full of murderers, to be fair. Let's hit some other greens. I'm gonna mix some of the green gold with some green I've already got in my palette to just kind of darken it a little bit. And then thin it out a little. And try to fix some of these areas that I made some obvious puddles in. And try to cover up some of the lines. There we go. And this contrasts kind of nicely with the green gold color. Okay. Okay. Dry off my brush a little bit and really try to blend some of this in a little bit. The edge here is really on me. Try to thin this out a little bit. Okay. Okay, that helped. Here we go. Not perfect, but we're getting there. All right. Yeah, it's so easy to lose track of what you're doing and just kind of ramble and then lose track. I'm going to be doing that a lot, I'm sure. Is it going to be perfect? No, but I don't care. It's fun. I'm just kind of playing. Let's get a darker green going. Trying to get some like forested areas going. All right. And then I think lastly on this, I may hit some sort of beige. I've got my yellow ochre. I might use a little bit of that. And just hit a very faint, like on the edges here and here. Just along the edge, try to soften some of this area between the green and the darker coffee color. Just to soften it a little bit, I hope. Okay. That seems good there. Maybe a little bit right there, just to soften that a little. All right. Yep, that's looking good. Now, what to do in the middle? Oh, you know what? I know where we're... Oh, you know what I don't have? Well, I don't have out some white. Because clearly there needs to be some white right there. Let me grab... You can go there. Out of my way. You can go here. And that is... Like... There we go. White watercolor. I am going to clean off this brush because I don't need it right now. All right. And then put this guy over here. Yeah, I'm gonna put some like snowy mountains in the middle. Oh, you know, I didn't shake this. Let me shake it really quick to mix it up. This is that Aquafine Chinese white. Focus. Yeah, that's probably as good as that's going to get. There you go. Yeah, I'm going to put just a tiny bit of the dropper of that right in the center, and then I'll just spread it out. Because it's dry, I should be able to do that without it being a big deal. All right. That's probably all I'm going to need since that's dry. And let me grab just my smallest round brush. I'm not going to wet it. I'm just going to put it on dry. Right. Clean it all. All right. And yeah, I suppose it's time for some water. I did say earlier, I'm not going to go nuts with the water. I'm going to do broad strokes. and leave some white in there, I think, just because of what it is. So let's mix up some water. Okay. I'm gonna start there. And then let's grab some of this turquoise blue. I'll put that next to it. Okay. Start with some ultramarine. Just gonna scrub. I'm not going heavy with this. Okay. Let's get some over here. I know it looks like I'm barely doing anything, but it's because I'm trying to be kind of light on my feet with this. At least to start. Okay. All right. Let's see what this one's going to look like. Okay. Okay. Right. All right, almost done. I'm gonna stop on this here in a second because I don't want to go nuts with it. This is just a fun experiment, and I really want to get to the next part, the next painting idea. All right, good enough. It gets the idea across. Let me whip out my heat gun and dry this off really quick. All right. Yata. Heat gun. Already plugged in. Heat gun. It's gonna win. I call it. Excuse me. All right, not bad, and it smells like coffee. Seriously. Sheeting it up really brings out the coffee smell. All right. Not bad. Still a tiny touch wet in a couple spots, but yeah, it gets the point across. It's not as much color on the water as I'd like. If I had thought about this really being land, I probably would have found a way or maybe masked off some bit of this to do like a wash of water so that it's not just all white, but that's fine. I don't remember. Goddess, were you here Thursday? Did you get to see the rainbow stuff I was working on? I think Desert was here. I don't remember if you got to pop in or not. Just, this was practice. Just blending, doing rainbows. But the end result was this guy. Who did a little rainbow world. Oh, the next one is going to be those coffee in the nebula. That's what my goal is with that one. Yeah, no, this one was like a rainbow world with like a little rainbow sky and some crystals and some mushrooms and some hills and a little Starfleet officer down here with his tricorder just over here just scanning away at this weird world that he had going on. Yeah, I thought it was neat. Let me scooch that boy out of the way, make some room, and let me show you what I'm going to do next. So I will use my rinse water still. Oh. She did one after, she got the inspiration. Yeah, I think on the weekend, I think she was painting along doing that mushroom. She had mentioned at the beginning of her stream that, and while I was painting, that she was working on like a mushroom rainbow theme one too. Clearly hers came out way better because I love how her mushrooms came out. They just look amazing. But yeah, I love when you guys paint along with me. It's so fun. Yeah, she was painting along, and then when she went online, she added to it, which was just pushed it over the top and made it look amazing. Let me go grab my paint, my air quotes paint. I'll be right back. All right. So this is what I'm going to be doing. I have no idea how this is going to come out. I'm just going to be trying. We're going to see. I'm going to try painting with coffee. I don't know how it's going to come out. It might look like absolute hot ass, but we're going to find out. I'm using instant coffee. So the coffee from earlier on the land, this was actually like fresh ground and brewed coffee that was spilled. So that I think that's why it was able to get such varying colors just from drawing. And it looks really good. I don't know if instant will do the same thing. It might, but it's going to be what I'm going to try to paint with. So I've got this right here. We got this during like a power outage that occurred a few months back. So we could have some coffee just from boiling water. So we've got some instant coffee. It's Supreme Bustelo stuff. And I'll put this back safe over behind me. I did one thinner container and one like a dense mixture to be my like dark color. And then as I need to do different gradient or different values, I'll just lighten with water. Is it going to work? I don't know. That's why I figured it was best to do a nebula. So I'm going to do a small nebula. That way, if I have time and I feel like it, I can do the third idea I had. We'll see. The one I'm least interested in, which is why I'm doing it last. I'll tell you now, my idea for the end, if I had time and cared to, I was going to actually just like use traditional media and paint a coffee cup with coffee in it. People do that all the time though, and I don't know how good I am at doing like actual objects. We'll see. But this should be interesting, I hope. So I'm going to use brushes that I don't care about. These blue ones that I keep in the middle here for just such weird random occasions. I think that will be enough. Yeah, I'm going to just paint wet on dry and just go for it. I'm just gonna mix with this my weak mixture and let's see what it looks like. Okay, faint. That's what you expect it would be. All right. So I'm gonna just put some fainter areas all around here. Just like painting with mud water. Okay. And let's see how dark our dark mixture is. of dark, but not crazy dark. It could be darker, might become darker when it dries. So we'll see. Truly doing layers is going to be what makes this darker, I think. Oh man, you smell this one. Right, so we're just gonna do all the way to the edge, some spots of this. To go back to the dark one. Ooh-wee, does it smell like coffee in here? Very aromatic. Okay. I am definitely going to the edge on this one, because the outer edge I'm going to cover up later with indigo. I'm going to switch to traditional and cover it up once the center part is done. But because it's so I looked it up a little bit, and what I found, right, is people that paint with coffee sometimes use, wow, have I forgotten the name of it? Guargum? Is that it? It's amazing how something will be in your head and you know it, and then you just get stupid and you space on it. That's happening more and more as I get older. Anyway, I'm just gonna fill this up and I'll pull it back a little bit. Okay. Because honestly, it's going to end up just faint in some areas and dark in others. No, Gargum, is it? Well, I'm forgetting what the damn thing is called. It's the stuff the brushes come with on the tip of the brushes, and you can heal or correct your brush tips and reshape them with it. And we're just going stupid with it. Nope, that's not it. What is that one? Comes in I'm just gonna say how to repair Trident watercolor brushes. Yes. Why is this so hard to find when I found it like a billion times totally by accident? Some are saying use boiling water, make a supersaturated solution of sugar. And I'm like, I've seen this a million times. Why am I not finding it when I'm forgetting it? I'm feeling really stupid. How to fix a ruined watercolor brush tip. Heavy brushes. Okay, that's going to be it. 12 tips. It's got to be in there. Rinse, blah. Wet them, blah. Rinse, blah. Don't leave them soaking into rinse water. I know, I don't. Rinse, yes. Don't, yes, I know. Don't panic over brush. Yes, I know. Don't, yes. Oh my God, is it not going to say it? Is it not going to say it? Come on. Never use good, yes. Don't, yes. Don't. It doesn't say. How is it possible? Okay. No. With, gum Arabic? Is that it? Let's find it. Yes. Oh, gum Arabic. There it is. Man, that was a pain in the ass. Yes. So you can get, yep. You can get gum Arabic in a bottle that comes similar to shape, in this shape. Winsor & Newton has it. This is masking fluid, but you can get gum Arabic, and apparently that's what they use on a lot of bristles on brushes to give them their shape when they come to you. And you can clean and reapply some to your brushes and let it dry, and it'll form that shape, and it just breaks right apart again. It doesn't leave any residue behind. But it's also a binder, and you can use it in watercolor paints when you make your own. Hence, being able to do that with coffee. You can apparently add gum arabic to instant coffee in a small amount of water, let it dry completely, and then you can rehydrate it and use it like you would a pan of watercolor paint. Whether that's valid or not, I don't know. I guess the idea is it makes it not so thin and runny like this was. So this is going to take a lot of passes to darken up, but it's going to be a nebula. That's what it's going to look like. That's what it's going to need, right? So let me, we're going to be doing this a lot. Let me grab the dryer or the heat gun. Yeah. Very nice. All right, man, every time I use the heat gun on the coffee, it just makes it like fragrant as hell in here. Hey, let's have some coffee myself. Cheers. Drink it if you got them. I don't care what time it is. Coffee's fine. You won't be stuck awake, not being able to sleep because all the caffeine. You'll be fine. All right, let's go for another pass. Let's go dark this time. Because at this point, I think if I don't go with the darker mixture, it's just going to never quite darken up. And it's going to take like 20 passes because this is so thin. Picture pages? Is that the one I'm thinking of? I think so. I was thinking of it earlier. It was on I think an old Game Grumps episode where they had talked about an old Bill Cosby show. I think it was called Picture Pages, where he has this little crayon marker thing or whatever he draws on the screen with or on the paper pad, and it makes this little like little noise as it's going around the screen. I don't know why it was going through my head earlier. Random intrusive thoughts live rent-free in this brain. All right, let's try this one. Riley! Okay, wow. Okay. Either the curling of the paper or the heat of the heat gun is making it curl up from the bottom. This is a block. Well, it's a partial block. It's a kind of a cheap block. It's glued on the top and the bottom, but not the sides, so it doesn't hold down very well. So I don't use it very often. But it's peeling up from the bottom down here, so I'm gonna have to be really mindful of that. Okay, so let's go hit it with another pass of the dark. Or dark coffee. Try to make it extra heavy and dark in the areas where it's already leaning that direction. And when happy drops and accidents happen, they're going to stay there. All right. Over here. Okay. All right. We're making coffee. We're making it happen. Okay. Let's try to bring in some of the edges a little bit. All right. Clean off my brush. Grab the dryer again. Let's hit it for another pass. I'm making bacon pancakes. Bacon pancakes, making bacon pancakes. I missed that show. Adventure Time, a great show. Bacon pancakes. Oh. Yeah, check it out on YouTube. Look up bacon pancakes from Adventure Time, and you'll find a video of it. It smells like burning coffee in here. I see. Yeah. Dry. Okay. Sorry, that's really annoying. You just like, any day now. Come on. Yeah, it's detached completely from the glue on the bottom and edge of it. Silence. Okay. It needs more drying, but I'm going to give it and myself a break for a moment. Whew. It's looking pretty interesting. I actually like how it's coming out. It's hard to tell. Let me see if I can zoom. Yeah. So it's getting there. It's interesting how it's layering. I actually kind of like that it's making these like sharp edges where it dries. It's actually quite neat. I kind of like that. So I'm not displeased by it. Still though, it needs to dry and it needs more layers because that's what's making depth. For whatever I leave in the middle and leave exposed, it's gonna look like that. So I gotta make many more layers. Yeah, I don't know what the bird one that you're talking about is, Goddess. Is it like a TikTok or something where somebody filmed their parrot or something singing the song? Because if so, that makes sense. I imagine that's what it is. Do I want to switch to some other music? I might. This is very coffee, but I don't know if I like the vibe of this anymore. What's something I can do that I can get away with that's not going to be copyrighted? Animal Crossing? That's just as slow. Chill non-copyright music. Blah. Copyright? Okay, whatever. Let's try this one. Oh, this is one you hear on like every YouTube video ever. There's a parrot named Augie who is viral. He sings Making Bacon Pancakes and dances to it every time he hears it. He loves it. Oh, that's cute. I'll have to go find it. I almost feel like I remember someone on Twitch sharing that video when they were going through TikToks, but I'll have to go hunt for it. That sounds cute. Turn this up a tiny bit. All right, let me try to finish drying this off and then we'll hit it with another pass. I'm gonna mute my mic while I do this so you're not hearing this go off. Okay. Some of it's still slightly wet, but let's add some more. I'll try to be a little more sparing in a way, keeping it thinner and not quite so much puddling if I can help it, because the puddles make it really difficult to dry. So now I'm going to try to make these less like bubbles and more like they're clouds, like they're connected. As we are starting to lean into, let's lean this more nebula than bubbles. That's going to turn into a big puddle. That's fine. Okay, and then you can go here. Wait, and then you can go up here into this guy, and this can go up here. Yep, and then up in here. Yeah, whoops. Looked over for a second, then looked over and realized I was putting my paintbrush on the table and not inside the well of coffee I've got over here. Okay. Let's add to this one and try to bring this guy more in line with this little nebulous bit. And maybe get this guy connected to this one. And let's add some down into this. Right, and make this larger over on this side. Highlight. We're getting there. Cooking. Let's get some over on this side. All right, let me dry this off and see if we're going to be able to do another pass or if we're going to start hitting this with some actual paint. I'm going to mute again and back to drying for a moment.
Yeah.
Woo. Man, this drying takes a long time because this is more water than anything, so it just takes a million years to evaporate. Alright, let me turn this down. Okay, so it is time to switch to paint. And I think what I'm going to do is go straight to a faint indigo and just kind of hit the outer edges and like the beginnings of some of these inroads into toward the center. So anything that connects to the edge that looks like a tendril, I'm going to try to get some of the indigo into it because it's going to come from the edges and work our way in. So I'll go for a light pass of indigo first, and it's going to merge with some of the wet bits still. That's fine. And then as that starts to dry, I'll add a little bit darker and a little bit darker, and then pull out to the edges until it's space on the edge. Still a little bit. Just add some water to my puddle. Oh, you're painting along with me? Yay! You do not have to, but if you want to, goddess, feel free to follow my Discord. I'm not just plugging it because I have no intention of being very sociable, because I never am. But feel free to paint. Feel free to paint in anything you want and join in. There's like a share your paint or something. I forget what I named it channel in there. That's wide open. Just anytime you paint something, feel free to snap a picture and toss it in there. You're carving while I paint? Awesome. Wait a minute. Didn't I follow you? Now I have to look, because I feel like as soon as you said that, I feel like I remember. Yes. Yes, didn't you do, like, I think you did some Star Trek stuff, didn't you? No, Star Wars. Was it Star Wars? I think it was Star Wars stuff. I think I could be stupid, though. That's possible. I might just be stupid. I feel like I remember following someone on Twitch who was doing carving, and they were doing tons of Star Wars stuff. But if not, Star Wars? Yeah, it was. Excellent. I thought I was going crazy. I might be still, but no, that's great. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you. Let's get indigo on the paper. Okay, I'm going to try not to do what I normally do. I don't want to cover up all the light values that I did because I'm so bad at doing that. I'll just want to cover them up. And I don't want to cover up all of the pretty browns that we worked so hard to make. So I'm just going to start light with my indigo. But some of it I want to touch where the browns were, because I have to make it cohesive in some way so that it feels like it's in space at the end. So very much indigo on the outer edge where possible. I don't want to cover up too much of the brown bits. But some is okay, especially on the outer edges. That will do. All right. Get that over here. Yeah, wood carving was so amazing. What skill? I love the idea of woodworking. I am not really good at it myself. I say that having never done it, but I have a love for it because it's what my dad did in a way. He didn't do carving, but he did, he was a cabinet maker by trade. And at home, he did all kinds of fun side projects. Like I'd mentioned before, he liked doing, he made clocks, and he made, what was it? Like American car emblems, like Ford and Chevy and all that, and made lights out of them. So he used like a sturdy, transparent plastic and put the neon lights behind it, and it made them glow. And way before, like, you know, RGB was the hit terminology for everybody. Super cool. Okay, let's do some down on this bottom area. Okay. We're getting there. Getting there, folks. All right. I don't want to go nuts with it, but I do need to add some more to the edge in some spots. I'll leave it light because I have a bad habit of covering the entire outer edge with the space look, and realize that nebulas have a way of going off the page in pictures and artwork. I need to try to be better at replicating some of that. I'm going to leave the whole middle section alone, I think. I might do like a little like out and here kind of deal and connect it. All right. Let's hit some darker indigo. Let me darken up my well over here. Okay, let's blot some in some of these still wet areas. I'm already flicking it to my table surface by accident. You're carving a Charizard at the moment? Oh! Yes, you covered up work and several Star Wars sigils. Very cool. And yeah, the Charizard, that's super cool. I started my life with, I started young with Star Trek love. And I do like Star Wars. I am not a member of the coalition of people that want to be a fan on one side or the other. It's just because I was exposed to Star Trek. And Star Wars for me came much later on. It doesn't mean I don't like them. It's just I have my first love with Star Trek, and that's personally, even though I've seen all of the shows completely, at this point finally I've caught up and even seen the animated series. My love is not always necessarily with the stories. The stories are good, don't get me wrong. I love the design of Federation starships. Something about those always appealed to me, and it makes me feel like someday we're going to get there. Someday we're going to figure out how to make Star Trek Federation style starships. It's not going to happen, but it feels like it should. And there's something about the ship design of Star Trek that just makes me super happy. Star Wars, I like the story more than the ships. It's the reverse. It is a great adventure story, and Star Trek is a great, utopia story. At least it started that way. It wanted to be a utopia story, and then it spread and turned into all kinds of other shit. But that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I have a love for them both in equal and different ways. Not equal in that I go out of my way to watch Star Wars stuff over and over again and rewatch. And for me, those are, once I've seen them once, I may go back to them someday. Like, I've rewatched the original Star Wars movies, but I've not really seen any of the shows, to be fair, now that I think about it. Yeah, it's so weird how people just want to do a split between different franchises. I'm like, why not just like everything? Or if you like your thing, why do you have to have so much hate for the other? In hating one and loving the other, you're proving you're not really a true fan of either, because you're not taking any of the values away from either of the shows and hating something else. And they don't understand that. It's so silly to me. And thank you. Yeah, I'm happy with how this is starting to come out. I'm going to do my absolute damnedest to not overdo the indigo. It is my favorite color, and I am prone to do too much, but I'm going to try not to. I'm going to try to hit some darker areas. And really make the dark bits pop a little bit more. Yep. And I think I don't want to go too nuts with it. I'm going to do some weird bits, but I don't want to cover up all the brown. I just want to do a little bit. And then the dark spacey bits, let's add some little pops of it elsewhere. Yep, I think that's doing good. Let me be smart about this and dry this where it is and see what this looks like when it dries and if I need to add anything more to it. I really have a bad habit of overdoing my indigo and turning the whole damn thing dark, like 80% dark with a hint of color, which, I mean, can look good, but I don't want to always be overdoing it. So I'm going to try that and see what it looks like. Let me grab the heat gun. Star Trek is science fiction, Star Wars is science fantasy. Exactly. They're both science fallacy. Some of them people want to be real, some of it you don't. Like, I'd love the Star Trek Federation ships and the Federation people to be real, but I don't want the Borg to be real. I mean, you take it and leave it. Like, Federation ships, I love them, but Star Wars ships, I mean, none of them. They look more along the lines of what we would actually make. As much as I like the idea of Star Trek styled ships, they don't necessarily look like what we would make if we could. It's just, it looked good. I love the saucer look, and it just kind of, I don't know, it sunk into my brain. Let's try this. Perfect. Oh, man. Let's get some coffee and re-energize my soul. Good stuff. All right, still not dry. We're getting there. Hit some more indigo on this. I need to refill my indigo. Can you tell I use it too much? Okay. I'm doing it again. Let me add a little here to try to throw it off the scent a little bit of me doing too much. And then a little water just to thin it in that area. I'll do some here as well. Some of it I'm going to leave. This is kind of bright. I'm going to leave it alone. That need a little bit. This can do a tiny bit here. I'll do a tiny bit right there and leave that alone. That right there. Excuse me. Then add a little bit more to this little doodad here. Grab some really watery stuff. I'm going to stop and dry it and walk away before I do harm, because I don't want it to take over. Let's let that be there. Hey there, my audio's glitchy times. Yeah, I'm still kind of working on it. It works fine when I talk into the mic. And my problem is making myself talk into the mic, because I'm trying to both look at what I'm doing and be heard. I've been thinking over how I'm going to fix that. It could be anything. I might end up getting like a lapel mic or something silly just to wear it and always be at the same range from my face. Until then, I just have to figure out how to make my brain remember how to face the thing that records what I say. It's a me problem, not a tech problem so much. Yeah. But thank you. I appreciate the comments. It's totally cool. I appreciate it. Dryer. Yeah, let's dry it. For this, I am going to mute because hearing this guy over speaking is just silly. So let me mute for a moment. Regardless, crazy, welcome on in. If you hear the terrible sound of the dryer, that's why I was muting. Let me go back on mute. Okay. Before this has a chance to go too stupid crazy, let's get the last bit on here. Where is... Am I blind? Oh, I am blind. It's not even in there. I've got my toothbrush. Whatever could I need with that? Well, it's time to finish this puppy off. Right now it looks like blobs of color. What really makes it pop and look like space is stars. So let's get a couple in here. I've switched to a white acrylic liquid ink that I've got. And I'm going to put a dropper full over here in this little dish that I've got to the side just for this. And I'm going to wet my brush in some clean water. I'm going to get some of that white acrylic. Okay. And dab it a bit in the paper towel. And then I'm going to find some spots to start flicking some of this on here. There we go. And of course, because I have to hold it down because this paper decided not to play by the rules and stay applied to the block like it should have, I'm getting paint on my hand. So that's fun. All right, that should be plenty. Let me clean the brush and my hand off. Give me back my hand. I desire my hand back. I'll wash my hands here in a minute and scrub it off. All right, let me hit it with the dryer one more time. And I was going to say peel it off of this, but it's almost completely come off of this on its own. All right. All right, we're done. Yeah, it was barely even attached to it. So silly. There's some bits that are either still wet or the coffee lacquered, like turned glossy because it got thick enough and hardened like that. So it's fine. It'll look fine. But yeah, overall, not bad. That is curled up a little. I'll put it like under a book or something later for the rest of the week and let it try to flatten down a little bit. But yeah, let me zoom out so that we can actually get it closer and appreciate it. That looks like a coffee nebula. Yeah, man, I did what I usually do. I tried to border it in along the edges. It's what I always freaking do. I don't think about it. I just mindlessly want space to be at the edge. I want there to be more paper than there is. My problem is I need to make the colorful bits be in the middle so that I've got room to make the space I want on the outside. But it's still cute. I like the colors. I love that all the brown you see is coffee. That's pretty fun. Different. Very strange. Very peculiar. Very weird and different. But I like it. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. So yeah, not bad. At the very least, we've got 2 out of the 3 coffee things done today that I wanted to do. I got the coffee spill that turned into some land, sort of. We'll say it is. And we've got there's coffee in that nebula. You know? And the last thing I was going to do, I don't know if I will because I'm getting tired. But I can certainly do later. And that is actually paint coffee. right? Yeah, all the brown that you saw in both of those was coffee. I guess he didn't see it because he came in later. This guy, all the brown in this, earlier today at like, I think it was like 10 in the morning Pacific time, I spilled coffee on some of this paper on purpose and let it dry for like 5 hours. And by the time 3 o'clock rolled around, there was still a tiny little puddle right in the middle here. So I just hit it with that heat gun you saw me using. And then when I came on, I lined it all with black pen. I've got some Winsor & Newton pens of 5 different thicknesses over there that are indelible. So when water hits it, it doesn't bleed. So I can paint over it when I use it. So I outlined all of this, and I was like, while I was doing it, it looks kind of like a continent or a big island or something. So I thought it's going to become land. So yeah, the brown works really well to make that. To be fair, between the two, this one was actually ground and brewed coffee spilled on it. This was instant coffee. So this one, I spilled coffee and dried it and didn't paint with it. This guy that I just finished on was actually using instant coffee, and I tried painting with it. It doesn't seem to blend as well as you would hope. It kind of pools and forms those hard edges as it dries. So I see where it's good in some situations. Not all, though, right? But yeah, what an interesting idea using coffee. Just weird the accidents that happen for people that turn into, challenges. The coffee art challenge, apparently. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. So I went through and I made 2. I don't care that I'm putting this on here. This is that pad that or a block that I don't like. I used a thin, like 1 teaspoon of instant coffee, and the one on the left to have a thinner version. And then I did like 2.5 teaspoons in the one on the right to make it thicker and darker. I realized after doing what I did, I would probably do the same thing, but use half the water in both. And then just as I got some on my brush, if I needed it thinner, just thin it with a little bit of water on the brush from one of my water jars over here. Because it's hard to make it darker just by brushing it on. I had to truly do layers to make it add up and pile up to get it any darker at all, which can be a thing if you want that. So yeah, what an interesting way to try to figure out how to use instant coffee. That's a weird idea. I bet you could use the instant coffee and get a similar, maybe a similar vibe to this guy. This, because of the way it naturally dried the coffee, I think it ended up making the gradient and some of the texture better in this one. It's super wild. I think this one with the actually fresh brewed coffee came out better. I think that might be a project for another day. Try one of these with fresh brewed coffee and one of them by spilling the instant coffee and see if they work the same way. I think maybe the way instant coffee is made, depending on the quality of your instant coffee, it might not work as well. I don't know if the same textures will come out. This one, I let dry naturally for a good 5 hours. The one we just did, between the layers, I did use a dryer because it was going to take forever to dry. So I went ahead and just between each layer, I hit it with the heat gun, got it dry or mostly dry, and then went for another layer. And you can see in some spots in the middle, you can kind of see the faintest layer in the background. The next layer on top was of the same thickness. And then as you start adding more and more layers, it gets darker. And then the more of a pool of the liquid you leave when it dries, it wants to kind of congeal. It goes kind of like liquid Terminator and becomes like it draws up toward, it wicks. I think that's the word I'm looking for. It wicks toward itself. So it gets darker in particular spots. Came out really interesting. Definitely worth playing around with to see what you can do with it. And Arcturus, you're asking, what are the colorful things on the left side? So One thing is this row of objects here are little sushi that are like made from like rubber or plastic or some material. Oh, sorry. That's a tuna sushi. This is like a salmon row. And then there's a few others on here. These colorful doodads is masking tape. They don't work quite as well as painter's tape. I got them as a pack. There's a bunch of different colors, but they're masking tapes. So I can tape down on things. And the painter's tape was proving to be way too thick. When I wanted to do a very thin line of masking, this was not going to work well without me trying to like whip out a razor or a knife or blade. Exacto. That's the word I was looking for. I'll have to trim it down, and it was proving that it was never going to be even if I did that. So I needed a thinner option. So this is half the width of that painter's tape. Yeah, it's like a collection of different colors of masking tapes. They don't hold down quite as well as the actual Scotch brand blue painter's tape does. I find that one has a better glue that still pulls up. But these work if I really, I know it's not the right word. I was using the word tamp, but to really mash them down. So I'll put them down on the paper, and like I'll even show you on one right now. Let me grab, because I've got this paper in front of me I don't give two craps about. Let me peel a tiny bit. And then I'll do it maybe twice. Chances are this isn't going to work, and it's going to work perfectly, just so you can, you know, see me not really telling the truth. If I just do this down with my finger, and this one, I'll let me grab this. I've got a metal ruler here, and I'll just properly like really make it adhere and scrape it on. It'll probably work fine, but just for funsies, let me grab this. Right. How well this is going to work, I don't know. Let's try it. Back on it. There we go. So almost certainly this is going to be perfect, and I'm going to look like an idiot. But the bottom one, I just pressed down with my finger, and the top one, I really forced it down with my ruler. If I did a lot of painting for a while on here and kept like drying it or letting it sit, adding more paint to it, back and forth like that, the one on the bottom would end up allowing paint underneath the tape, and the one on the top would have a better hard line from it because I had to really force it down. But I bet this will probably be perfect because it was just one pass. I have to get under the tape. There we go. Oh yeah, it was perfect for the most part. Typically though, it's a pain to use. It doesn't work quite as well as the masking tape or as the painter's tape does, but yeah, in this case, it came out fine. It just doesn't pull up perfectly sometimes. But this works pretty well. So I got them specifically for that purpose because the standard tape, I actually didn't open it. I threw out my old one because it was down so low that it was curling every time I pulled anything off of it. Let me grab this really quick. Garbage! Garbage! There we go. Where's the end? Right here. Gimme. Interesting. They it's the same brand, same type I used to get, but they wildly they put a yellow label or printing. Sorry, yellow printing on it now. And it used to be just pure blue. I guess they wanted to brand their tape when it's down on something, so people are like, what is it? Oh, it's Scotch brand. But yeah, so the width on the painter's tape I just put down is 1 inch, and the thin stuff I've got here is 1/2 inch. So I've got more control over being able to do more narrow masking when I really want to, and they make them even thinner than this. They do 1/4 inch and I think 1/8 inch, which would tear like crazy, but basically like pinstriping, which is very useful for people that want to do that. So I see the usefulness. Don't get me wrong, I get it. Okay, well, I'll have to fix that later. But yeah, man, masking tape has saved my bacon. A lot of times, painter's tape has a chemical which becomes waterproof the second water hits it. That makes a lot of sense because half the paint out there is water-based paint. So, I mean, that makes complete sense that there should be something that makes it more effective when the paint actually hits it. That's very smart. It would be very smart of them if that's how they make it. That would be very wise. But the masking tape does not need that because masking tape is not built for that purpose. But we use it that way because we're silly. The thing people tend to use a lot of that costs a lot of money, and it's like a decorative, is to use washi tape, which seems wasteful to me because it's so damn expensive. But washi tape is something that's used mainly in Asian countries, Japan mainly, from what I've seen. But it is like scrapbookers use it. It's like a very pretty decorative tape. You can get ones that look like all kinds of things, all kinds of designs, anime, 2C stuff, rainbows. I mean, you name it, it exists as washi tape. WASHI. People tend to use washi tape a lot of times when they're doing those pretty, TikTok videos and Instagram videos showing like a speed run of them painting fast forward style. And they'll tape everything down and mask it with washi tape because it's prettier than using this, right? So, like, I get it, but at the same time, meh. Oh, I guess since some of you here have not seen some of the other stuff I've done, something I've got handy in front of me, since, again, I love doing space, I made these space Polaroids. Goddess has seen them. But yeah, I made these. I had the idea of making Polaroids, or making watercolor paper cut out in the exact shape and dimensions of original Polaroids. And so I made a bunch of little galaxy nebula scenes as if they were taken on a Polaroid, which I thought was super interesting. I like that one. That one a little bit less much. Really like how this one came out. You snapped while you were traipsing around on the Voyager? Yes, exactly. I just, every now and then, I wake up, look out my, crew quarters window, and I'm like, wow, look at that. That's really pretty. Snap, hollow imager. Got a nice little Polaroid. Yeah, I'm super happy with how these came out. So my goal is to make more of these at some point. I just need to give myself the time to cut out more of the templates that I made and then trace them out to get the outline. And then I'll make some more galaxies, more nebulas, more planets and stars, and I'll do all kinds of side things on them. But yeah, was very happy with how they came out. I haven't done it yet. I imagine someday in the future, when more people end up watching, I need to go over all the stuff that I've done just to kind of show off some of the things I've played around with. For now, again, please, if you haven't, feel free to check out my Instagram because I put everything I paint on there. Even sometimes the stuff that I'm not proud of how they came out, I try to show my growth and my lack of growth, just because it's fair and honest, right? So I'm not going to sit here and be like, look how perfect I am. I'm so not. I'm so incredibly not perfect. And that's the best place to see it. Aside from here you get to see my failures live, but there's where I just post them after the fact. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to stop. Truly, it was just working with coffee. My end goal was to try to end with doing an actual painting of a coffee cup, but I worked all day. It's late. I'm tired. I only have a few more hours before I need to, go crash and fall asleep anyway, because I have to go in the office tomorrow instead of working from home. So I have to go to sleep a tiny bit earlier for that. And it's stuff to eat. So I'm going to stop, get some resting time. I will be back on Thursday. Mjolnir, meow meow. Thursday. I'll be back then, same time, 4 o'clock Pacific time. I try to always be on roughly around 4 o'clock, plus or minus 10 minutes, give or take, if I feel like getting started early. Mondays and Thursdays. I try to have some sort of theme worked out. Doesn't always work, but sometimes I get things pulled together, and sometimes I just say, fuck it, and I just go through and I do some random abstract bullshit. So thank you so much for dealing with me. I appreciate y'all for being here. Artros and Crazy, thank you both for showing up. It was great to see you guys in here. Whenever Artros you are on and streaming, I'll try to catch you. Same with anyone else here who streams, please. Click on everybody's name. Everyone here that I know of streams except for Crazy. You might, I don't know, but if you do, please pimp your stuff. Feel free to post anything you want in here. I appreciate y'all for being here. Desert, thank you so much for coming in and lurking. I hope you're having a great day as well. And all y'all, see you guys on Thursday. What am I doing? No idea, but I'll figure it out before then. You stream on YouTube? Excellent. Yeah, well, if you don't want to post it now, you feel free to. If you want to, hop into my Discord and in the general channel, and you can just post all your socials there if you want to. One day I'll make a proper set of channels where people can put things based on category. For now, just throw it in general, I don't mind. But yeah, I'll look forward to seeing what you guys do. Again, everyone have a great night. Love y'all. Peace out. Bye.